Hi everyone, this is James Langbridge from TinyROM and welcome to episode 2 of my Flowcode series. In the previous episode, I showed you how fast and simple it can be to program using Flowcode. Now it's time to show you how to install it. The first thing you will need to do is to go to the Matrix TSL website. I'm using a search engine, but I'll also put a link in the description below. From there, go to the Products menu. From there, we can see Flowcode. They have a few other products, and we will be looking into eBlocks too later in this series, but for the time being, select Flowcode. From here, you can get a brief introduction to Flowcode, a few arguments for using Flowcode in your projects, and a sneak peek to some of the subjects we will be talking about later on in the series. You can also see the rather impressive list of supported targets. At the time of recording this, Flowcode supports 1,239 targets, a target being either a microcontroller, a microprocessor, or a board. I'll be using a selection. And finally, at the bottom, we have Download. Click on that to see your download options. So, first things first, no, I am not a robot. Okay, so mountains or hills? Is that a hill? Apparently yes. Now I have the option to download Flowcode, the 8.2 patch, and the hotfix. Flowcode has a great way of updating the libraries, but for now all we need is the Flowcode download. However, Flowcode itself isn't the only thing that we're going to need, and while that's downloading, let's have a look at the other files. To compile our program for a specific platform, we are going to need to download some toolchains. You have a choice. We have 8-bit, 16-bit, and 32-PIC toolchains for the different PIC microcontrollers. We have an AVR Arduino toolchain for AVR chips in the Arduino family. We have an ARM toolchain for some Atmel 8091 series chips, but also an ST-ARM toolchain, more specifically for ST microelectronic boards like the Nucleo family. And then we have the Raspberry Pi toolchain to support different versions of the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to install all of them because I can. I'll be using examples from several families, but you don't have to install all of them. Most of what I'll be writing can be easily used on the platform of your choice. And don't be frightened about the electronics. I will be using a PIC microcontroller on a breadboard later, but as you've seen in the previous video, it is possible to run this on an Arduino board. While those files are downloading, it's time to take a look at licenses. Flowcode has a few license options available. There is a free version, although to be honest, I don't know what's included. A free 30-day license is available to let you try the software out and to see if it fits your needs. If you decide to go further, then there are 3 different user types. The standard user is for makers and anyone wanting to create weird and wonderful gizmos for themselves or just to learn. The professional license is just that. It lets you use Flowcode to create projects that are intended to be sold. The academic type is for students or teachers. The license is cheaper compared to standard or professional licenses, but you do need to prove that you fall into this category by sending out a form to Matrix TSL. Personally, I have 2 license types, the professional one that I use on consulting work and for paid projects, and the standard one that Matrix TSL was kind enough to provide for the series and to help me teach with. Once you have decided what sort of user you will be, then you need to decide what platforms you will be using. As I said previously, I will be using several platforms, but you should be able to use any one you want, and it's easy enough to switch from one to the other. Oh, and if you are colorblind, it might be a bit difficult to see what you've been selecting, but I managed it after a while. Next, we have the feature packs. This is where you can select different hardware that you will be using on your projects. If you click on the I icon, it will show you what is included. For example, if we select Comms A, then you can see that your projects will be able to use the CAN bus, RS-232, or be an I2C master, amongst others. However, if you want to be an I2C slave, then you need to use the Comms C pack. Take your time to have a look through the different options, but don't worry, if you want to add something later on, a new chip pack, a new feature pack, or even upgrade your license to a professional pack, you can do this later on. Once you have everything, it's time to install. Installation is simple enough, just read the license, keep the defaults, and you should be good to go. The installation might take a bit of time, depending on how many toolchains you wanted to install. Once that's done, you can click on the Flowcode icon and the application will start up. On the first run, it will ask you what kind of license you want to use. For this series, I'm using my TinyROM account, which is a standard license with all the packs included. Entering your license will require you to enter administrator privileges, and once that's done, you are ready to go. Flowcode doesn't ask you to refresh your credentials periodically, and even allows you to install on several computers, provided that they are yours and that you only use one at a time. So that's it for installation. Hopefully that went smoothly, but if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below and I'll answer to the best of my abilities. Don't forget that Matrix TSL has an active forum as well. I'll leave a link in the description below. In the next episode, we'll be looking at creating our first real program using something a little bit different to what we did in the first episode. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye bye.